I am currently in the middle of 40 different series and it is my mission this year to get it down to below 10. Is it possible? Will I do it? I don't know, but I'm doing one of these videos every month as a bit of a series to see if I can get that number down. So today we're going to be reading 3 different books to try and get our series number. Hi guys, welcome to my channel, or welcome back to my channel. If you've been here before, thank you so much for coming back, and if you're new here, make sure you click the subscribe button because I come out with a new video every different week and it's all bookish related. So today we are going to be looking at 3 different books for my finishing series, and this time I actually got the spinner wheels to choose them. So I'm going to get the spinner wheels up and we together are going to finish, or we are going to spin the wheels for our 3 books. I have already spun these wheels, so I'm filming this kind of in advance. I'm filming this later on, so some of the clips that you'll have seen will be from previously. There'll be a couple of clips where I'm in the same position because I've finished a couple of books now already. So I'm going to spin the wheels. You're going to see what books we get as we go along through the video. So let's get into the video. Let's find out what book number 1 is. Spinning wheel number 1. I will put the screen recording here for you so you can see what we get. Okay, so as you can see, we got the summer series. This is a interconnected standalone series by Jolene Perry. I've read the first 2 books in this series already, and it's following a group of friends in a small town where I think the first one, I read the first 2 a while ago, so I think the first one follows one of the friends who, there was a few years ago that involved all the boys, there was this big accident and unfortunately someone died. And so in the first book, you're kind of unpicking that and following one of his friends as he manages that. Then in the second book, you're following a friend who is a very successful businessman and he owns a really big business, and a woman who was infatuated to him in childhood, but nothing ever happened, and it's kind of them finding their love and romance. So going into the third book, we're following the third friend, Beck, and he owns a bar. And then we are following Kate, yes, Kate, who is the main character's, the guy in the book 2's ex-wife. So it is interconnected standalones. However, I would recommend reading books 2 and 3 sequential because of just the nature of them. I find that actually I knew a lot of the plot in terms of, there's always like a side plot, and I knew a lot of the side plot from book 2, but it was good to see it from the other perspective. However, I feel like 3 very much shows the other side. So I personally would recommend reading books 2 and 3 sequentially, but actually all the other books you can read in any order. So I will fast forward on to past Lauren, who will share her thoughts, and then you'll come back, or it will come back to me, and I've finished it, so I'll give you my final rating and thoughts. I've actually started The Summer You Found Me, which is book number 3 in the summer series. This book follows Kate and Beck, and Kate is Caleb from book 1 or 2. I think it might be book 2 because I read them out of order. Kate is Caleb's ex-wife. So it's kind of like a best friend ex-wife trope, which is really interesting. Now I'm only 25% of the way through at the moment. So at the moment I'm still on the plot line of Caleb's only just found out that they're like even in contact because Kate's had a rough past and has a lot of issues with substance abuse. So if that's something that you really find triggering, it might not be a book to read for you because it does talk about substance abuse, addictions, and struggling with that as well. However, it's only just really starting. It's dual POV, so you see from both perspectives. However, it's predominantly Kate's perspective that we've seen so far. In saying that, I like the small glimpse that you get of Beck, and so you can see from both points of views that they both have those romantic feelings there, and for that reason it starts off not insta love because they're not together, but you can see their insta infatuation because they both really like each other. However, that's not how the story goes, and they're both very much avoiding that because of the best friend kind of husband thing going on. So yeah, I'm really enjoying it. I think at the moment it's going to be around 4 stars. I am liking the plot line, I'm liking the characters, and I'm liking kind of the spicy edge of Kate because she's very much trying to be a nice person and trying to be the better person and win back the ex-husband, but also she has this side of her which you can see there's like infatuation with Beck, and then you've also got that kind of like dark side with her as well, because she wasn't a very nice person before she went to rehab, and so you can see those elements coming through it as well. I have found I'm like not drawn to this book as much, and I'm not necessarily like having to pick it up, but I think that might just be because I've read quite a lot of books in January in quite a short succession of time. So I started the year off not wanting to read that much, so I've kind of like, since being back at uni, I've kind of packed it all in, and I'm very much wanting to finish these books to get the video up and stuff like that. So I found maybe I'm just taking this one a little bit slower, which is actually absolutely fine, and it's not impacting the reading experience at all. I've also been quite tired this week, so I've just not been reading as much, but I am really liking it, and I do think it will probably be about 4 stars. Now, this should be the last clip in the video of me on the walking pad, but I will get back to you later on if I've got any more updated feelings, if anything changes, or when I finish the book. Okay, so I've actually finished The Summer I Found You, and I gave this one 4 stars. It was teetering on that 5-star realm. I think the first half of the book really let it down because it was a little bit slow, and I don't know why. I can't tell you. I still really enjoyed the whole book. It just didn't give me that 5-star kind of tingles and feels until the second half, and then by the time it gave me that, it was too late, and then there was a third act conflict, and I feel like, because the third act conflict includes a lot of character rehabilitation for Kate, and so she struggles quite a lot with substance abuse, and so that's a big feature in the second half. I would even say in the last quarter that is kind of looked at and not resolved, but you know what I mean, like just looked at and character development. However, I feel like that actually should have come a lot earlier in the book, and I feel like if we extended out that period where we saw a bit more of that, then it might have resonated with me a little bit more. However, I feel like if it did that, it would maybe take away the romance element, so it swings and roundabouts. It's kind of, it doesn't matter which way you would have done it. I think something would have held it back from being 5 stars. However, I did really enjoy this book. I have rated this book, I think, the highest out of all 3 books that I've read from this series so far. I have another 2 books left in this series now. So at the end of the video, I'm going to go through and update the series tracker, and so you'll see I've only got 2 books left in this one now. And I am looking forward to carrying on the series. I think Jolene's writing is easy, it's quite understandable, it's digestible, and so therefore it makes it kind of a fun read when work is busy or you just need a little bit of escapism in the evenings. So that's been something that's really helped, but there's just always something in her books that just can never take me to that 5-star feel at the moment. Obviously the last 2 books, this book was better, the next 2 books might continue that path and we might get a 5-star out of this series. However, overall it is a really good series, and I actually recommended this to my best friend, and she also read this book as well, and she said it was really good. So it's one to kind of sink your teeth into if you like that small town feel, if you like the romance vibes. However, just be careful with some of the trigger warnings. The first book talks a lot about grief and the loss of a friend. The second book and the third book talk a lot about loss of a child and substance abuse and dealing with that. The second book's very much from an outsider's point of view, how it affects like a family member and a spouse, whereas book 3 very much follows it from that person's perspective and struggling with that and struggling with the urges and maybe even sometimes like going to act on those urges. And so if there are some things in these books, there are some like hard topics to read about. However, I feel like Jolene writes them in such a way that makes them digestible and bingeable, and I do feel her books are an easy read. However, I wouldn't necessarily go into them thinking they're the best things in the world. They're not at the moment. For me, they haven't been absolutely amazing writes or reads, but they have been some really good fluffy romance books. They are spicy, I will give you that. They are spicy. This book, book number 3, was really spicy. I can't overly remember the spice levels in book 1 and 2. However, I know they all have spice in them. Book 3, the books I've just read, is spicy. These 2 characters like spice. They like smut. They like that pastime, and actually it's for part of the book that is their only connection, and I enjoyed reading about that. I enjoyed seeing that connection and how it kind of grew and then dipped and then grew again. But if you're not a fan of spice, then maybe this book and this series isn't for you. I wouldn't say it's spice reliant, but this book 3 was very spice reliant. So take from that what you will. If you don't mind a bit of spice, then that's fine. Go ahead and read it. They are really good books, quite nice palette cleansers and just fluffy reads. I feel like they're the perfect kind of summer holiday read, sat next to a pool, sat on the beach, where you just want something quick and easy to get through. This is the book. They're around around 320 pages each, so they're not that long. Like I say, I flew through mine and I would recommend. Moving on to book number 2 of this video, let's look at the spinning wheel and find out what our book's going to be. Again, I'll put it up on screen for you. Okay, as you can see, we have You by Caroline Keyes. I never know how to say it, but this is the book based off the TV series that is obviously a major hit, very thriller vibe. It follows Joe, who is, in all honesty, just not quite okay mentally. He forms quite a strong obsession with different female characters, and each series tends to follow different female characters. So in this book and this series, or this book, we're following Joe, who grows an obsession with Beck, and the lengths he goes through to see her and the things he does is wild. But this is another book that I've actually started and finished, so I will pass you back to Lauren to get her thoughts, and then I will come back and tell you my final ratings and thoughts afterwards. Hi guys, I've got some updates for you. I'm really sorry if you can hear the kind of methodical noise in the background. I got a walking pad for Christmas and I'm currently on my walking pad, and I thought what better time to update you guys. And I'm also editing my start of the year vlog, which you would have seen last month actually, because I'm pre-filming this video quite far in advance. But I am about between 50 and 60% through You, which is just, I've managed to do it so quickly because of real bad traffic, which I was stuck in the other day. So yeah, managed to get through You quite quickly, and I'm really enjoying it. I feel like I say that all the time. I'm really enjoying it. It's one of the ones where I'm reading it purely just to say that I've read it because I own it. I've seen the series, so I know what happens, and I think that means I can listen to my audiobook a lot faster. I was actually talking to one of my best friends about this, and she's like, can't go any faster than like 1.25, 1.5 on audiobook, and I'm there like, yeah, give it to me on 3 times speed. And she's like, that's just too much. But my brain processes things a lot faster anyway. I talk quite fast anyway, so I'm used to it. But I am liking it. I am finding that there's a lot of details in this that aren't that comparable to the TV series. The premise and the plot is the same. So if you don't know what You is about, it is a story about a man who falls in love or falls infatuation with a woman and then becomes like a stalker to her, and that happens quite quickly, and so he kind of takes care of everything in her life and he acts really weirdly, and it is very stalker vibes and it's very thrillery. And I loved the TV series, and so when I saw the book, I think I got it in a charity shop. When I saw the book in a charity shop, I was like, I'm 100% going to take that home and read it and see what it's like. And I find that the book's actually creepier. There's stuff in the book which definitely has influenced the series. However, in the book obviously it's in a lot more detail, and I'm finding that because of that it's still really interesting. I've said in previous videos before, I really struggle with when books follow TV series that I've watched, because I struggle with like not the comparison but the similarities of that, and I found that this one isn't as bad because it's not as much of a similar premise. Well, it's the same premise, but it's not like all the details aren't the exact same. So I am liking it. I've got about an hour and a half left on the audiobook. Now, I was planning to get it done today after I finished work, however, I was just so tired and I had lots of things to sort out, so actually I ended up not going out for my walk, but I've stayed in and I'm going to do some editing while I'm walking and film some clips for you guys. So that's the plan, but I'm hoping to finish this one soon. And if you see my January wrap up, you'll have seen that I've actually read this in January, because it's currently January 22nd, which means I'm just trying to pre-film a lot of my February videos, so this video has been quite far in advance pre-filmed. But yeah, so I hope you guys are enjoying the videos and everything so far. And I think this video I'm going to trial not having any reading clips in, and I'm just going to do clips of me giving updates, so hopefully the videos aren't as long and they kind of get to the point a bit quicker. But please comment down below whether you prefer just the update videos or whether you prefer the videos with a little bits of reading clips in. But I will get back to you probably in the next couple of days when I've finished You and let you know what I thought. I think at the moment we're around a 3 to 4. I think it probably will end on a 3, and I think that's purely because, again, I know the story and the plot line, so it is kind of I find it's an enjoyable read because I enjoy thrillers, but creepy read. I mean, he's a weird man. He's a weird guy, but yeah, so I will get back to you when I finish the book, but I look forward to speaking to you soon. Okay, so you would have just seen the halfway mark for you, and now, like I've just said, I have actually finished it. I ended up giving this book 3 stars. I listened to this book on audiobook, and I found I really enjoyed the first half, and then the second half I just didn't want to read or didn't want to listen to. And I have been finding, and I don't know whether it's just because I'm listening to them on audiobooks, that actually I tend to rate audiobooks lower than what I do physical books and my ebook, so that could play a part in it. But I enjoyed this story. I knew what was happening, so I knew what happened, but actually I did find that some parts of the story were different to what the film or the TV series is, and there's elements of it that are slightly different, or also the TV series came out quite a few years ago, so there's elements of it that I just completely forgot. And I did really enjoy it. I ended up giving this book 3 stars. I think it was a good read, and I would recommend, if you're into thrillers and you like that psychological thriller where you're in the mind of a madman. You are in the mind of someone who is mentally very and extremely unwell psychologically, and you're seeing him obsess over this person and the lengths he goes to prove that obsession and to just feel close to her. And it's hard, because if I sell that to you, then please pick it up. It is such sickening but yet intriguing read. But like I've said many times before, and I won't ever stop saying it, especially with thrillers, I feel like when you know the storyline, you know the storyline. And so I couldn't go into this book not knowing the storyline when I'd seen the TV series, which means it kind of, a lot of the sickening things I was just like listening to going, oh yeah, that's Joe, or it's as if I knew him already. Whereas if you're going to this and you don't know the story and you don't know the premise, I can imagine it being absolutely disgustingly disturbing, which is what you want. I don't even know if I would necessarily, it's not a horror, but it's definitely disturbing. And I think if I listened to this without having seen the TV series, I would be mentally not quite right, because I am currently a solo female living on my own. And so a lot of it talks about him kind of stalking her, watching out for her. There's break-ins and followings, and it's psychologically disturbing but incredible. And Caroline has done such a great way of writing it, and she really puts you in the mind of Joe. She really puts you in that mindset of his obsessions, and objectively you can see how disturbing it is, yet you kind of get it because you're hearing it from his brain, and you just kind of, he loves her, so why wouldn't you do these things? And I would definitely recommend, if you like thrillers, if you're one of these people that likes not a cozy thriller, because I don't think there's such thing, but a thriller that's not overly scary, then maybe not this one. I would say this one's more, it's just disturbing, and I have no other, but not, that isn't me saying it in a critique, it's disturbing in all the ways you want a thriller to be. So I would recommend. I rate mainly on vibes for me. If I was rating it through the premise of a thriller and the way it was written, it would be 5 stars, because it was an incredible book. However, did it give me the 5-star vibes? No, it gave me a 3-star vibe, which is where my rating kind of discrepancies lie. And I know that, and I hope you guys as viewers know that as well, and just know that my ratings are very much on vibes. However, I would hand on my heart, I wholly recommend this book if you like thrillers. Absolutely like it. If you can look past knowing the storyline as well, go and read it, because Caroline's writing is incredible and it hooks you. I just feel like the fact that I've seen it before, know the story, let it down for me, and the fact that I was listening to it on audiobook, and first time I was listening to it on the audiobook, like the first half, I was doing a really long drive, and then I got stuck in a lot of traffic, and I had multiple phone calls, and I was dealing with work situations and uni situations, and I feel like a lot of that then put a bit of stress on it, and then I just didn't want to go back to it for some reason. And so I feel like all those things took bits away from it for me, but 100% would recommend. And if you're a thriller girly, then go out and read it. If you're a thriller guy, go out and read it, because it is incredible. Okay, before we get into our third book, I did want to give you a little bit of an update that I got the ARC to terms and conditions. I'm sure you would have seen this in my wrap up, but just because this is the series vibe, series video, I wanted to give you kind of like a series update. So in January, I got the ARC to terms and conditions by Jensen Parker, which is book 3 in the Strangers series, and I gave that book 5 stars. I read it basically in one sitting. I sat on this sofa here and I just read, and I did not go to sleep until really late because I was reading it. My best friend rang me and I went, I'm really sorry, I'm gonna have to call you back because I'm reading. It was just incredible, 5 stars. Please, 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 this one gets released on the 14th of February. Please pick it up, read it. It's absolutely incredible. Jensen's honestly a wonderful author and does anything and everything to make her ARC readers and her team feel so loved and supported, and she's just such a wholesome person, and I do truly believe in her work and her writing. As much as I got given an ARC copy and I am in her kind of like support team, I very much would never have joined that team without believing in her writing, and so I wholeheartedly believe in that writing. But that means I'm up to date with that series. I say I'm up to date, I'm ahead of that series, which is really good. I've also read When Life Gives You Lululemons, which is the 3rd and final book in the Devil Wears Prada series. So because I had that one on audiobook on Everand, and my Everand subscription finished on the last day of January. It's currently the 26th of January, and I, this morning, as I'm filming this, sat down for about 5 hours and just listened to the book. Gave it 3 stars, I believe. Yeah, 3 stars. Do I feel it was necessary to include in the series? Absolutely not. It's completely irrelevant to the series of The Devil Wears Prada. It's got nothing to do with Andean. It follows Emily a few years later navigating life as a stylist, PR person for celebrities, and she runs into a bit of trouble with her business, and then she happens to be seeing an old friend gets caught in some drunk driving charges, and she's a senator's wife, so Emily then kind of sweeps in and helps with that PR scandal. It was absolutely unnecessary to the series. It was a good read. I think I might have given it 4 stars. Maybe have a look. No, I did give it 3 stars. It was a good read, it was a good listen. I enjoyed it, I enjoyed the story, I enjoyed the premise. Actually, I think I'm gonna bump it up to 4 stars. Let me just change my Goodreads. Yeah, 4 stars. It was a good read, I did enjoy it, I did think it was a good book. Would I have sold it alongside the Devil Wears Prada franchise? I feel like you have to, because it is Emily from Devil Wears Prada and Miranda Priestley is within the book a little bit. However, they're very weak links, and I feel like Lauren could have written this in a way that didn't include those characters and just had that story, and it would have made sense without having the background of the characters in there. You could have even had like a Miranda Priestley continuation within it, or having with an explanation of who she is. So if you've read The Devil Wears Prada, you know who she is. Whereas if you haven't, then you just know that she's a really big editor of a magazine column. You could have had that side into it as well, but I did really enjoy it, and it does mean that I'm now that series is finished for me. So that's one series caught up, one series finished so far, and then obviously within this video we have continued a series and started a series, and we are now going to see what book number 3 is. Okay, let's spin the wheel, find out what our 3rd and final book is of the video. And fun fact, I know what it is right now, but I haven't started it, and I'm very excited to start this book. I have 1 book left on my January TBR that I am trying to get through, and I'm tempted to soft DNF, but I just don't want to because I want to read it and get it done. So we'll see. But let's spin the 3rd and final wheel to see what book we've got to end out this video. A beloved series is Chestnut Springs, and I am on book number 4, which is Reckless, and I believe Reckless follows Winter, which is the sister of the female main character in book number 1, and I can't remember who the male love interest is. Let me have a look and get it up. I have Talia Mar's 365 song stuck in my head, and if you've not seen the video and you're a Sidemen fan or a Talia Mar fan, go and watch it, because the announcement in it is honestly the cutest thing in the world. If you're not a Talia Mar fan, still go and watch it. The video is absolutely incredible. It's their wedding video and it's so wholesome, but the song is stuck in my head. Okay, yeah, so it follows Theo Silva, which I believe is the protege of, or like the younger person that the male main character in book number 1 kind of looks after and helps, and then Winter, who is the female main character's in the first book's sister. And from what I know about it, they have a one-night stand and and then there's an accidental pregnancy. I don't know anything else about this storyline. I do know that this book is beloved by a lot of people, and I've heard some people this is their favourite, and I've heard lots of good things about it. So I'm really excited to get into this book and go back into this world. It wasn't long ago since I listened to Powerless on audiobook, but I'm actually going to read this book this time and try and save some of my audiobook for slightly longer book. I know this book's actually quite long for the Chestnut Spring series, but I'm really excited to get into this and read this story and get back into that world, because if anyone does small town romance right, it's Elsie Silver. So that's going to be the third book to round up the video. So I will come back and check in at about the halfway mark, and then at the end, and then before we finish the video, we will go through my series tracker, update it, and you can see how I'm getting on and all the updates, including the updates of Life Gives You Lemons. I'm not sure if I've updated terms and conditions, but we can have a look when we go in there. So I'll come back to you soon. Okay, and for our third book in the video, we got Reckless. I'm just trying to remember if I actually filmed the spinning wheel clip, but I did. So for the third book in the video, we got Reckless by Elsie Silver, and I was going to do a halfway checking, and I also was going to do a lot of stuff yesterday. However, I couldn't really get into this book just reading it, and I'm not sure why. And I just think with Elsie Silver's work, I do enjoy it and I do think it's a good read. However, just sometimes actually reading it I really struggle with. So I ended up going on to Spotify and seeing that the audiobook's on there, and so I read Reckless by listening to the audiobook yesterday. And I was like I say, I was going to check in at a halfway point, because before starting the audiobook I was about 20% the way through, and I was not quite far enough in yet. I knew the premise, I knew what was going on, but I'm not quite far enough in yet to give you guys like the check-in. So I'll just listen to a bit, I'll then meal prep, and then I can check in with you guys. Well, I sat there listening to this audiobook, and then my best friend rang me, and I was like, oh gosh, so I was on half day yesterday, so she rang me and I was like, oh gosh, she's finished work like really early. Her daughter must be poorly or something from school, and one of the kids must be not very well. And I was just like, well, oh no, like what's going on? And she was like, what do you mean? And I was like, oh, you're ringing me really early. And she was like, it's 3:20. I'd sat there for like 2.5 hours, just as if no time had passed at all, and I just was 100% like locked in, and I was doing some bits on my phone, just like listening at the same time, and just there. But so if you don't know what Reckless is about, Reckless follows Theo and Winter. Winter is Summer's sister from book 1 in Chestnut Spring series, so from Flawless, and Winter has always been known as the icy, not liked character. I would say a lot of people have read A Court of Thorns and Roses. A lot of people have read ACTA, and I would say she's a bit like the Nesta character. She's not as bad as Nesta, but like she's got that kind of like not evil, but just not a nice vibe. No one really likes her. Everyone thinks she's horrible. She got tangled up in a bit of a love triangle between her sister and her husband, and it's just a whole thing. And she sees the light, and she goes down, and she wants to try and make things right with her sister. So she goes down to the ranch, and when she's there, she meets Theo. And one thing leads to another. They have a one night together. It's very much it's a one night stand, never gonna happen again. Winter's like, I'm only here for a little bit, and I need to clear my head, and I need to make things right. And then she accidentally falls pregnant. So it's an accidental pregnancy trope, and just the storyline of them, and it's kind of them navigating this situation, and it's seeing whether Theo will actually want to step up and be a dad, and how that looks and what that looks like, and especially as he's a bull rider, so he's meant to be traveling the country, and what happens then, what happens next. So I loved seeing this side of Winter, because she became a mum, so she started seeing that really caring side, and you see her character development, and just seeing how she goes from being someone that she feels like no one likes to someone that people are starting to see the real her and see the understanding. And you see a bit more about why Winter and Summer's relationship is so strangled, what outside forces have played into that, and the family dynamics. And so I would say I enjoyed this book. I ended up giving it 4 stars. I did think it was a good read. I liked listening to it on audiobook, and then I actually got to chapter 39, I think, and I was like, I have to stop because I have to meal prep, because then I had uni, and I was sat at uni going, I've only got like 2 chapters left, or it was like 2 or 3 chapters left, and I was horrified. Why am I sat here doing uni work when I need to be finishing Reckless? So I swiftly finished that book, and I did think it was really good, and I liked the ending and just how cutesy it was, and I liked the fact that there was no true third act breakup. There was a third act issue, is how I would put it. It wasn't a third act breakup, but there was a third act issue which made sense in the book, and like the characters and just knowing them and how they think and how they work, it made sense. So that is definitely something that I enjoyed a lot more of than what I would normally when it's kind of a third act breakup and you've got to see will they, won't they get back together, when you know they will. So yeah, I really enjoyed that. So that is book number 3 that I've read for the vlog, but I have finished some other series as well. So what I'll do is I will now update my tracker, so I will show you that, and there's a few other ones that I'll update at the same time. So let's do that. So I'm screen recording my laptop screen and you guys are going to see this side. So you'll see I am currently in the middle of lots of different series. So I read Nick and Charlie in January, so I need to update that. So I've now read 6 in that series. I have read, what else did I read? Harbour. I don't even know what series that is. This is the issue I have. Sometimes I've got books and I don't know what series they're in. What else did I read? I read the first book in You, so I've started that series. I read another book in the summer, so I've now only got 2 books left in that one. Oh, I didn't tell you guys, I hauled the Kiss Quotient the other day, so I've now got book 1 in that, so I might be starting that series soon. I read Me Before You. I read the first one in that one this month, and Pudding Pantry this month. I've also read another book in Chestnut Spring, so I've only got 1 more left in that one. I read the 3rd book in Devil Wears Prada. Oh no, I've read all 3 books, so that one's now done. I read book 4 in After this month, and what else did I read? Oh, and I read book 2. Oh no, that's the wrong one. I read book 3 in Strangers. Okay, so let's now refresh this page, and oh, wrong ones, and we can put it in order to see what books we've got left. You guys can only see part of that because I've only recorded part of my screen. Okay, so as you can see, I have now finished these series down here, and I have, how many with 1 left? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 books, or 11 series with only 1 book left. So that's really exciting, and 39 series in total left. I'm thinking in March of just doing a series vlog where I actually finish series, because I've actually got the Rule Book, which finishes a series, The Family Remains, which finishes a series, and Before, which finishes a series, on my physical TBR card. So I think I might do that for March, and maybe do a few of those where I've only got some books left, or 1 book left in the series. So actually I will finish those off as well. And hope you enjoyed this video. I hope seeing the series tracker and seeing it updated helped, and I look forward to seeing you in my next video. Please make sure you like, comment and subscribe down below, and I will see you guys very soon. Goodbye.